Hello, I'm Perrin Beatty, President and CEO of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to the Business of Business. Throughout the COVID-19 crisis, we'll be having a series of conversations with senior business people, representatives from government, and other senior people and organizations to talk about the impact of the pandemic on Canadian business and where Canada, the global economy are going, and what we can be doing as business people to prepare and to manage our way through the crisis. We're very fortunate today to have a very senior business leader in Canada of one of the most important financial institutions in the country. Since 2016, Guy Cormier has been the CEO and president of the Desjardins Group. Now, Desjardins is one of the most important financial institutions in the country with over 47,000 employees and 7 million members and clients. So it's a very important part of Canada's financial scene. And not only are they an institution having to look at how they manage their way through the crisis, but they're also very concerned about how their clients do so too. So Guy, welcome. Delighted to have a chance to chat with you.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be with you, Perrin, and really appreciate the time that we'll spend together.
So tell us how Desjardins is managing. This is a massive management challenge for you with all of your points of presence that you have, and with all of your customers, all of your employees. How is the company managing at this point?
Well, right now we have many business lines that are doing really great. If I look at the retail banking side, we had to close around let's say 500 to 600 of our cases or branches in Ontario and Canada. We kept open around a third of all our cases just to be sure that everyone are safe and we can continue our activities. Many relief measures have been authorized right now. Deferral payments. We launched 3,000 loan amount of 3,000 for emergency loan for people who really need it. And they can just pay back in a year or more. So many activities on that side. On the commercial side too, we helped more than 3,000 companies, mainly in Ontario and in Quebec, who asked us for relief measures. More than $2 billion have been authorized in the Canadian emergency loan of $40,000. So on this side too, we are really proactive and we're trying to help as much entrepreneurs that we can help. If I look on the PNC side across the country, many requests just to give a refund of premium for the next 3 months because the people are using their cars much less than they were supposed to. So we give a refund automatically for the people who are asking us. And on the life and health side, as the fourth largest one in Canada, we really help Canadians who were outside Canada to come back to the country. It was really tough in March for some of them to find a place to stay, to find an airplane to come back to Canada. So our agent helped many Canadians to come back to the country. So it's sure that when you have 47,000 employees across the country, it's quite a challenge just to be sure that they're safe. But right now, since the end of March, middle of April, we have been able to have around 90% of our people who can work from home, teleworking, even the call centers. So for us, it's a way to be sure that all our employees are safe and we can continue to run the business and to help real members, real clients, to try to do as much as they can to manage this situation. So really proud right now where Desjardins is standing and how much we can contribute to the reopening of the economy and the society, we hope, in the next few months.
These are stunning figures. If you're able to have 90% of your workforce at home and operating from there, how smooth was the transition? Had you prepared in advance for this sort of a contingency, or did you make it up on the fly?
Yeah, we honestly, we always have a continuous plan to be sure that we will run the business if there's anything. But it's sure that how fast we had to shut down the business, shut down the economy, how much we had to react quickly to all the requests from the provincial government and the federal government was something that we have to manage quite quickly. Being able to put like I said, 39,000 employees working from home was an amazing job from our IT department and the people who were ready to jump in. So yes, it was quite planned, but how quick we had to react wasn't necessarily too much planned, and I think every companies were quite not so ready. So we were ready in a way where we knew that if something happened, we have to do this, we have to do that. But it was so huge what we had to do. So we had to be really proactive, to innovate, to change our mindset really quickly. And I'm quite really proud of the reaction of the employees, but the people from the IT department, security department, how much we have been able to put our people safe at home. And now the feedback that we receive from our clients and our members is that they don't feel that people are from home. They really feel that we're there for them. We're there on the line with them, webcast, on the phone with them. And even if they're not able to have a real meeting, a human touch meeting, they feel the meeting is real because they are in touch with us. So we can continue as an essential service to fulfill the needs of our members and clients.
One of the questions I've been putting to business people I've been talking to across the country is, will this forever change your business? Now that you've discovered the ability to work remotely in this way, do you intend to go back to the way you were before, or will you go to a different model?
Well, if there's something that I've learned in this crisis is the fact that it's sure that you can look at Desjardins as a huge financial group with so many activities. And sometimes when you look at these big companies, you're in a mindset where you think, oh, they cannot move too quick, they're heavy. But I'm really proud of the fact that even in a crisis like that, a company as huge as Desjardins can make decisions really fast and can react really quickly. And the example is in the last few weeks where we were really proactive to launch relief measures really quickly, really proactively. So it haven't taken a month or two to take these decisions. So honestly, if there's one thing that I've learned is that it's really easy when we really want to take these decisions really quickly. Don't necessarily to need so much or so many committees or discussions. So there's one aspect that I think we will learn from that is to be quicker in
Just more
the
supple.
decision process when we have to. The second aspect is the fact that having built so much capacity to bring so many employees to work from home, now we have to learn from that. Are we going to keep all of our employees at home for the future, for the long run? I'm not too sure right now. I think we have to be careful. People are sometimes lonely at home. There's maybe other collateral damage that we have to be sure of. So now that the capacity is built, so at least I'm sure that we will continue to leave some of our employees working from home. Will it be 5 days? Because it was really quick now, 5 days at the office and in a week, 5 days at home. I think it was really fast and people were not really ready for that. So maybe we will continue to build a kind of a structure where they're stay at home for 3 days, 3.5 days, and can work from the office 1 day or two because they need to be in touch with their colleagues just to alignment or work on some projects. So I think this is something that we can learn from because of the capacity that we have built. And the third aspect is the fact that I think we have learned that it's possible during a crisis like that to work so much well together, governments, public institutions, private sector, citizens, building something really quickly and putting sometimes our own interests on the side because we feel that there's a purpose that is higher than everyone personally. So I think even with 47,000 employees, having that in mind will give us another option to go faster in our growth, in our expansion, and the kind of impact we want in the society.
I've heard many of the same themes from other CEOs as well, and they have generally said, and I hope that the sort of collaboration we're seeing today with government and with others continues. No guarantee, but but this has been very productive, and it's been something that everybody has benefited from. Have you also been developing new services or products as a result of this, some of which may continue after this is over?
Well, as an example, we decided that we will build a direct connection with our seniors. When our seniors, or the people from 60 and older than that, are calling us in our call center, we have a dedicated line that they can just press on a button and someone is answering them right at the moment, instead of waiting maybe for 5-10 minutes, because we have many phone calls from our client customer. This is an example that maybe something like that will stay forever, because they really appreciate this service. Another example is education. We have in the last few months really pushed harder to put online video webcasts about financial literacy, financial education, because it's quite amazing how people really need to have a better understanding sometimes of even their own financial portfolio, their own financial situation. So these are other examples of things that we will continue to, let's say, expand in the next few months and years, because there's a need for that. So, and the emergency loan that we launched, this 3,000 loan for people who are in need, weren't necessarily authorized or wasn't able to have access to all the federal programs or other needs, a specific loan for them, a really low rate, the possibility to repay us in a year or so. This is another product that maybe we will keep, just to be sure that if in the future some people have really problems with their financial situation, maybe we can keep something really easy for them. So kind of discussion that we're having in the business right now to see if we can continue on that side.
And that last loan you were mentioning really reflects your roots as a cooperative as well, I think.
I think you're so right. If there's one thing that I think was easier for us as a cooperative, is when your values are so strong, when you know that solidarity, self-help, this human touch, this long-term perspective that you're having when you're managing this company, instead of necessarily the quarterly pressure of the results that you have to show. This is something that is really helpful. And when you have decisions to take, it's really easy to take these decisions, because your mission, your purpose is so easy to understand for everyone, every employee. So yes, I think with these kind of solutions that we've put in place, actually we have around 600,000 relief measures that have been authorized. It's quite amazing in a short period of time.
600,000.
600,000 across the country. Property casualty insurance, life and health, retail banking, commercial banking. So it's real people who benefit from the decisions that we took. And these decisions were taken because we were having in mind always do what is best for our members and clients. Not only the net profit at the end of the day, but always do what is best for our members and clients. And at the same time, well, we'll be there for the long run. And I think not only for us as a company, but we want citizens, we want clients, we want members who will be there on the long run too. And if they stay up, well, the whole economy will stay up. The banking industry will stay up. The society will stay up. I think it's in our role now to have, I always like to say that Desjardins is more than a financial institution, more than a financial group, is a real socio-economic leader. And I think the people are looking at us and they're asking us to do that right now in a crisis like that.
Yep. And people remember. They'll remember those businesses that
totally
treat them
agree.
well. They'll remember the businesses that don't.
Yeah, I totally agree. I look at how close we are with the communities. Each week, I have a conference call with our 47,000 employees across the country. One webcast in English, one webcast in French. Each 2 weeks, I have a webcast with all of our 3,000 directors who are on the board of directors of our cases in Quebec and Ontario. So for me, it's helping me so much to stay grounded to the reality of the people, the reality of the needs of our employees, but also of our members. But at the same time, these people are, after that, 50,000 people across the country who can promote what we're doing. and it's helping the people. And I really feel that our members at the end will look at us. We received so many positive feedback from members and clients who said, you know what, I knew that Desjardins was a cooperative, was a great company, but now it's in crisis like that I can touch the difference. I can touch the real values that you're showing or you're telling us. Actually, the United Nations said 2-3 weeks ago, released a document about the fact that they looked around the planet about financial institutions, financial group who were acting as a responsible financial institution, and they said that Desjardins was in North America, was part of. There's only 3 financial institutions in North America that were part of this panel, and we were in this panel. Van City is another co-op in BC that was part of the panel. Only 3. So when you have an international organization like that who are looking at Desjardins and they're telling us that, you know what, I'm really proud of what Desjardins is doing in Canada, it's give us a lot of boost to the employees, and the members are like, you know what, we appreciate what you're doing.
People be feeling pretty up about that.
Yeah, you're right.
That's great. I want to come back in a minute to your clients, but just before we leave, how you're managing with the organization itself during this. You were mentioning that you had closed, what, 2/3 of your branches temporarily?
Yeah.
That is a major change in terms of your operations. How are you managing in terms of point of contact with clients, and how will you bring those branches back on stream?
Well, two, three key words here is the fact that we close the branches where we're sure that the people won't be able to have access because it was safer for them and for our employees. But our employees, our managers in these branches are still working. They're on the phone, they're calling our members, they're really proactive. So they're working from home, but they can help our members. Maybe they saw the stock market, moving up and down. So they need to be reassured about their portfolios or their future or their retirement. So we're on the phone with them. There's some of our members who really need some, let's say, advice about how they should manage this situation. They lost their job, or they have kids, or so we're even if the branch is closed and you cannot access the branch, there's still a lot of our employees who are on the phone in touch with our members and clients. For us, it's really important to be proactive on that side, and on the other end, to be sure that when we will, let's say, restart the economy, it won't be necessarily a 0 to 100 in a weekend. We will be able to reopen our branches, in a way where we will look at there's some provincial rules or measures that are different in Quebec compared to Ontario, so we have to follow that. One regions compared to another, it's not the same thing in Montreal, Mississauga, Toronto compared to Sherbrooke or to Quebec City. So we just have to be careful to follow the rules. We're ready, and as we'll see the reaction of the measures from the governments, we will reopen our branches. But right now, the key word is really safety. We want to be sure that we are part of stop the spread of this virus. So we don't want to reopen branches and put back in our branches, our cases, real people, and contribute to a second wave. So we're really, really, really careful right now. So it'll be a process probably from May to August, September. We're not in a rush because we have, with the teleworking capacity, we can be in touch with our members and clients.
You anticipated my follow-up question, which was about reopening. And many of the CEOs with whom I've talked who have operations in different provinces across the country have talked to me about the frustration that they're dealing with a hodgepodge of different regulations in terms of how they can operate, what the rules are, what sort of protocols, what sort of personal protective equipment they may have to have. And many of them have said to me, it's not even just at the provincial or territorial level, it comes right down to the municipal level with
that's it.
Differing regulations. How's Desjardins managing that?
Well, it's a very good questions, and I was looking to answer your questions with this municipal issues too. It's not only provincial and federal. It's sometimes in some regions when the region is locked down. You look at Montreal right now, you look at Toronto, what's the feeling now, what's the mindset, and what's the situation is totally different than other regions. So it's a real issue. I think we are in the middle of this. It's quite a challenge. I think a company like Desjardins, it's a bit not easier for us, but at least we have access to some officials. We have regular discussions with provincial officials, federal officials. Our cases are in touch. Our directors and our managers are in touch with the mayors of the city. So at least it's easier for us because we're so huge and we're so in touch with many players. But I can understand for smaller companies who have activities everywhere, if it's not as easy maybe as us to be in touch, it's maybe a bit difficult to anticipate. But even for us, even if we think we can anticipate, it's still a challenge, honestly. And I really hope, and I know our provincial governments and federal governments are having discussion together, but when we have activities in BC like us, in many provinces, it's really a challenge. I really feel that the mindset of the people are so prudent right now, are so cautious about the future. So I think that it's more important than only the provincial or measures or federal measures. I think we're building right now our own capacity to be sure that will be there for our members and clients, and by how we feel that it should be really safe. And we'll look at the measures that the government will ask us to put in place. But this is a very, very important question and still a challenge, honestly.
Let's turn to how the Canadian business community is doing. Few CEOs in Canada are better positioned than you are to have a sense as to how business is being affected by this and how businesses are managing. What is your impression as to how businesses are doing in the communities in which you operate across the country? Concern that many of us have is that literally thousands of businesses won't come back on stream after they're allowed to reopen. What sort of shape is the economy going to be in after this?
Well, I think we will. There's two ways to look at that. There's one way that it will be a real challenge for some business activities in our country. I can think of the airline industry, tourism, everything that is around culture, entertainment, cultural event. There'll be a real challenge there. I really hope that we'll be able to help as much as we can. And I think our governments are really proactive to try to help. But at the end of the road, will we see some companies that won't be there for the future? Probably the answer is yes. And it's really sad. On the other hand, the side of the medal, it's quite interesting to see that in each crisis there's opportunities, and there's companies that will change their production, that will see that there's a future for them, and that's what we have seen right now. There's micro distilleries who are, instead of working with alcohol, they decided to go with hand sanitizer, or they built masks now, washable masks. So there's real opportunities. So I think there's really a very important challenge. I think it's a way for us to really continue to innovate, try to build a sense of urgency, maybe try to build a platform where we'll look at Canada, and we'll be, you know what, now they're so strong in this field because of the crisis. They build the capacity there. So that's how I see the future of our economy. And I really, really hope that like I said previously, there has been so much collaboration between federal, provincial governments, public sector, private sector, big companies, smaller companies, communities. I really hope that we will see growth in our companies, maybe on the long run, where we will integrate more social issues in the way we manage our companies, because we see that when we are in a crisis like we are right now, we need everyone at the same place. So I think it will reshape some of the mindset of many companies about not only looking at the future as net profit and growth, but there's other aspect when you're managing a company.
Let's talk for a minute about how we do this transition from lockdown today to going back to some element of the new normal,
Yeah,
whatever that is. Federal government programs alone have been $250 billion just in
yeah,
the last couple of months set aside for that.
yeah,
These are figures that you and I would have found mind-boggling 8 weeks ago if
yeah.
somebody had used them. And it's clear that for some time, governments at all levels are going to have to continue to provide assistance for people who can't find work, for specific sectors. You were mentioning some of the businesses, the airlines, hotels,
Yeah.
tourism, restaurants would be another example. And some specific companies are having problems as well. So that bill doesn't end at $250 billion. It keeps going up. But how do you see us making the transition away from a subsidies-based economy to one that's based on growth and where the private sector is back healthy again, paying taxes, employing people, and generating growth in the economy? How do we get from where we are to where we need to be?
Well, I think we need a plan. I think we need a plan. I think that we have been able to manage this situation right now because no one tried to find the golden key by himself and try to fix everything by himself. And no one has this key right now. Managing the crisis or even reopening or rebuilding or reshaping the economy. So I think we will really need to work together around the same table and try to decide uh, which areas that we want to be really strong across the world and which areas that we have a better understanding now that it will be difficult to continue in this field because we don't have enough strength or we don't have enough capacity or there's other countries around the globe that are so further than us on that side. So I think we have to be realistic, and if we try to be 6 on 10 in each business areas of the country or activities, will be 6 on 10 everywhere. I think we should take time to really have an important discussion, a country-wise discussion about in which field we want to rebuild the economy of this country with growth, to invest as much as we can or as efficiently as we can in these activities to restart and reopen the economy in a way where on the long run we won't only reopen everywhere, but at least we know that we will also reshape the economy for the next decade or the next 10, 20 years. Actually, that was the kind of discussion that we were starting to have in the last 2, 3 years about the fact that what's the key words or what are the key advantage of our country around the globe. And at one point we were like, okay, in maybe this field, but the oil and gas industry was under pressure. The airline industry was okay. We had issues, or we looked at what happened with Bombardier. So in which field we want to look at Canada around the globe? And I think we need this discussion and to restart an economy where at least we're not only restarting, but we're building the champions of the future. I think it's important to have this discussion.
The other day, a Japanese diplomat wrote to me and he said, after the tsunami crisis several years ago in Japan, when they were looking at rebuilding, the slogan that they adopted was not the same as before, but better. And I get the feeling that what you're talking about is that we need to look at not trying to get back to where we were as of the 1st of January of this year, but look at how we build on our strengths and how we create
Yeah.
something. You were mentioning corporate social responsibility within communities earlier, but also in terms of the economic strengths of Canada and building them.
Well, I think when you look at 2020 is quite of the end of not only the last 10 years, but this new capitalism has been built and started since 1980. It's been 40 years now that we have been in a mood of growth, capitalism, but in 2018, 2019, we saw that there was a beginning of discussion about wealth inequality, populism, climate change, trade tension. So there was already signals that the economy around the globe was not collapsing, but there was some collateral damage. So I think it will be a big mistake to try to rebuild an economy like the last 40 years. But we should work. I'm a huge believer as a cooperative of shared prosperity, and we must try to build not only the next decade, but the next expansion plan for the next 20, 30 years in a mindset where we integrate much more social issues, equality for everyone, much more. It won't be perfect. How we integrate climate change, sustainable growth in many of our decisions. I think we should try to, not more than try, but we should really build the future of this country by integrating the kind of collateral damage that we were having discussion in the last 2-3 years. We should at least put them on the table and try to see, can we reshape our economy and restart our economy by integrating these concepts or these aspects that will be so important in the future, not only for millennials, for everyone. A pandemic like we just have seen and we're in right now, I think put on the table many aspects that we knew that were there, but now it's obvious. So I think we have to have that in mind. And like I said, being a co-op like Desjardins, it's in our DNA for more than a century right now. But if much more companies have these kind of purpose in their mission or in their vision, I think we will just build a country that will be, the people will appreciate much more to live in, even if Canada is a great country, even right now. But I think we will build something that will be sustainable on the long run for everyone and every stakeholder. I think this is something that we would have in mind, that we should have in mind for the future.
Sitting where you're sitting and looking at the devastation that's taking place in the economy and the impact on families across the country, it'd be very easy to be very pessimistic and have a very bleak view of the world. But you sound like an optimist.
Well, yes, I'm an optimist. Honestly, it's a very big crisis and heavy crisis. But at the end, many crises, when you are in the crisis, you feel that it's amazing, it's the worst one, and we won't be able to go through this one. And the sun will come. And I'm a huge believer of collaboration, of cooperation. I think that there's a lot of people that wants to build a country that is stronger. There's a lot of people who wants to put all their effort together, all the ideas that we have. And I think that, yes, it has been a lockdown that was really quick. It's not just a financial crisis. It's not just a sanitary crisis. It's a social crisis. And we will look in the next few weeks and few months, many numbers that will be up and down and a lot of noise, and it will be really dramatic. And it will be dramatic. There's real people who are losing their job, and there are real companies who won't make it. But at the end of the day, I think we should look positively at the future, and try to work together to build something. It's the history who has been like that for many years. Each crisis always brings opportunities for the future, and that's the mindset that we must, not only should be, we must have to be in this mindset.
On that note of optimism, I think that's a great place for us to end our conversation. Guy Cormier, thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you for your leadership you're providing to the Canadian business community and the important work that Desjardins is doing in communities right across the country. Delighted to have you.
Thank you very much, Perrin, and thank you for what you're doing right now. Thank you very much.